Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our next session with Energy Fuels. This is sponsored by Cortland Credit, and I'm Joe Farrs, Vice President of Investment Banking here at Red Cloud Securities, and I'm joined by President and CEO Mark Chalmers, who will walk us through EFR's approach to becoming America's next big rare earth element producer. They've actually just kicked off their commercial production on rare earths, and not to mention that Energy Fuels has the operational readiness to be the largest uranium producer in the U.S. Credit to that White Mesa mill, an operation that could really do it all. So with that, Mark, great to see you again today, and please tell us your story.
Thank you for that introduction, Joe. It's my pleasure to tell everybody our story. Many of you will know our story, but it's a very exciting story as Energy Fuels is quickly becoming the leading a producer of critical minerals in the U.S. And as Joe indicated, both uranium and rare earth elements are very exciting spaces for everyone right now. And Energy Fuels is an investment in both. The picture in the background is the White Mesa Mill in Utah. I may be making some forward-looking statements. Those are the back of the presentation. So this is just a little bit of a busy slide, but it kind of covers what Energy Fuels is and what our business plan is. Uranium has been and will continue to be our core business, but we're very excited about the emergence of rare earth element production and processing at the mill. I'll talk more about that in a minute. We also are and have the only conventional vanadium processing facility in all of North America. And we are the largest producer of vanadium in 2019. We're embarking on a new opportunity, which is monetizing some of the isotopes that come from uranium and thorium and the rare earths. Long history of recycling, and we have very substantial financial strength with over $100 million cash and working capital, substantial inventories of uranium, and no debt. Our footprint is quite large, from Wyoming all the way down to Texas. We have 3 producing or capable producing sites, 2 in situ recovery that are fully paid for and capable to go into production quite quickly. And then the White Mesa is the blue star in the Four Corners region. And we have a number of other assets that surround and deposits that surround these operational centers. Many of you will know that, or won't know, that the United States gets 20% of the electricity from nuclear power, and that's 55% of the carbon-free electricity. It's really exciting to see the renewed interest in nuclear around the world, particularly with small modular reactors, and people realizing that it is a carbon-free energy source and it's necessary to decarbonize. This next slide just shows the White Mesa mill that is currently producing. That is a uranium vanadium mill that is now also producing rare earths, rare earth carbonate. And we're very, very excited and proud of that. We have the Alta Mesa project in Texas, again, on standby. That's a 100% uranium project, as is Nichols Ranch in Wyoming, also on standby in Wyoming. The Pinyon Plain mine is a mine I actually built in the 80s, and it is a high grade, the highest grade uranium mine, and likely the lowest cost uranium mine in the United States, which is ready to go into production as the signals get much closer to being realized to go back into production at all of our sites. This slide just shows who has produced uranium over the last 15 years. And I think this is important because when you look at Cameco is in the light blue, and if you look at Energy Fuels in the blue, between the two companies, 86% of the uranium produced over the last 15 years came from Cameco and Energy Fuels, 86%. If you add UR Energy, which wasn't producing 15 years ago, and you add Uranium One in the red, 4 companies that produced 97% of the uranium produced over the last 15 years. I believe that those that have a proven track record are best positioned for the future. Uranium and rare earths. Just because we've entered the rare earth space doesn't mean we're getting out of the uranium business. Matter of fact, quite the opposite. Uranium and rare earths go together perfectly. And the exciting thing about uranium and rare earths is the markets are expanding and growing. And what's really excited about rare earths is they're projecting increases of 5-fold demand in the next 10 years. I saw a presentation just yesterday that said if you went to the most negative forecast out there, it would be at least 2 times. White Mesa Energy Fuels is the missing link for rare earth production in North America because our focus on monazite sands, which are the highest grade, the highest value rare earth feed streams out there in the world. They contain uranium and thorium, which we can handle at the White Mesa Mill. There is no other company that is currently as far down the supply chain in North America than Energy Fuels. We are planning to have full integration in the next 2 or 3 years, moving through at least separated oxides. So why monazite? I talked about the high grade of monazite. The monazite sands that arrive at White Mesa are between 50 to 60% total rare earth oxides. And current prices of the main rare earth oxides, that is around $20,000 per ton. Grade is king in anything you do in the resource sector. Monazite is produced as a byproduct from heavy mineral sand production, which is produced in the United States, Australia, Brazil, Africa, and elsewhere. And those heavy mineral sands, their main focus is zirconium and titanium, and monazite is a byproduct. The monazite is also, in addition to high grades, it's very good distributions of NdPr, which is the elements used for the high efficiency magnets, and also has very significant distributions of the heavies, including Dy and Tb. So it is absolutely the premium feed for rare earths in the world. And it also is easier to process. So we are focusing on monazite sands, and that's a key differentiator. We're basically doing the China business plan, but in the United States of America at world standards, and we plan to do it at world scale. So here's just a picture of the White Mesa Mill, and it's been called by a number of people, particularly Konstantin Karyanopoulos, the missing link in the rare earth supply chain. And we believe it absolutely is. We have all the licenses, we have the infrastructure, we have the ability to produce monazite carbonate. Right now, we're currently doing it at commercial scale, and it is just a fraction of the percent of the capacity of the mill. So we're very excited about this. It's moving up the chain much quicker than a lot of people would like it to move up, but we're very excited because we think it is one of the most exciting emerging stories for rare earths while recovering uranium. This next slide just shows a graphic of how we plan to move forward with securing additional monazite sand from places in North America, South Africa, Madagascar, New Zealand, Australia, South America. We're making the carbonate. We're shipping some of the material, the mixed rare earth carbonate, to Estonia, to Konstantin's operation at Silmet. We plan to move to separated oxides in the United States over the next 2 or 3 years, but we're also starting to look at other value add chains, including metals and alloys and perhaps magnets in due course. This next slide just shows pictures of inside the mill, of the crack and leach facility that we have at White Mesa, also the laboratory that we have, and then the lower right-hand corner shows the separation pilot plant that we have at White Mesa that is currently under operation. So we are absolutely moving forward with separated oxides at the mill. Some more pictures of produced rare earth carbonate heading to Silmet in Estonia. Lower left-hand corner shows myself, Logan Shumway, our mill manager, and Konstantin, and then a number of our team members. We're very proud of being able to do this quicker, faster than anybody else in not just North America, but in the world, to get to rare earth carbonate from monazite sands. Why will we be successful when others have failed? Is one, we have the ability to deal with the radionuclides in monazite. Monazite is high value, as I mentioned, with the distributions and the elements. It's mined around the US and the world. It's straightforward processing. It'll be the lowest capital and operating costs, actually the lowest capital operating costs in the world. We have a successful history of dealing with solvent extraction at the mill because that's how we recover our uranium, vanadium. And we believe we'll focus on rare earth separation using SX with our knowledge. And Utah is a great place to do business. It is much better than other states in the US and other parts of the world. So just in closing, we have substantial financial strength in the order of $100 million last reported at cash, securities, and inventory, but that is very conservative because we're in the process of divesting some non-core assets for substantial contribution, and will be a large shareholder of CUR, which I'm very excited about. And the price of uranium and vanadium have gone up substantially, as shown in that upper right-hand corner. A 93% increase from our book value of uranium, where we have substantial inventories, as well as substantial inventories of vanadium. So we're closer when we close the deal with CUR to be sort of in the order of around $150 million of cash, working capital, or securities. So we are in a very strong position. We're going to be aggressive, but not reckless. Watch this space because no one can cover uranium and rare earths like Energy Fuels. Thank you very much, and I'll now be open and available for questions.
That was great, Mark. Amazing to accomplish all of that in such a short time. I'm going to start off with a question on uranium first. Let's say you signed a contract, long-term contract with the utility. You pick the price. What's the operational capacity to produce as much as you could, let's say in 2022 and 2023?
Well, in 2022, we're, that's not too far away, but look, we can get up to about 1.5 to 2 million pounds of uranium in probably 12 to 24 months, whether it comes from the Pinyon Plain mine, LaSalle, or conventional mines, or our ISR facilities. So we can get to 1.5 to 2 million pounds with almost no capital. It's mainly working capital. To go beyond the 2 to 3 million pounds per year, we've got to start investing in more capital, whether it's expanding our ISR operations or our underground operations. So we can go to that 1.5 to 2 million pounds with primarily working capital, 12 to 18 months. We actually have some pretty substantial inventories of unprocessed ore at the mill right now. So look, I think we can get there quicker, faster than others. And I think we can get there at, much more attractive cost structures than most.
That's perfect. Maybe one more question here, Mark. I'll switch it over to the rare earth side. Could you speak to the supply chain in the US and really, the significance of having a domestic source here that could really facilitate the US? As we know, CFIUS can create challenges for any sort of foreign investment. So maybe just speaking to EFR's advantage in that regard.
Well, our advantage is, we can, excuse me, we're treating monazite sands as we speak. So speed to the market with our ability to make a carbonate, basically the ability to process rare earths, it was deconstructed over 20 or 30 years. And so, that's why we know that going from carbonate, which we can currently do with actually only limitation is securing more feed, which we're in the process of doing. So it's important to move to the separated oxides, and we are looking downstream beyond in metals and alloys. We're looking for full integration, and unfortunately that, as I said, that it basically has gone to the wayside, but now people are realizing that it needs to be put back in place. That will take some time because most of this, the value add is done in China. There's certainly focus in North America and in Europe to do this. So I think that the actions that we're taking, the timeframes we're talking about to get the separated oxides at White Mesa being around 3 to 4 years, a lot of these other steps are going to be in place when we achieve those capabilities at the mill.
That's perfect, Mark. And I think we're at a time, everyone. Mark, really appreciate you taking the time today and presenting the story. Always great to have you.